Hey family, just wanted to hop on real quick before you hear this next episode. It's long, right? It's like 50 plus minutes. Pack a lunch mentally. We had to have the conversation we had. It's been a minute since we talked, right? So, excuse me, just want to make sure that everybody knows we ain't going nowhere. Normally in those pockets when that happens, definitely if there's like a little bell or subscribe or whatever. Not subscribe as far as money. We're talking about just alerts, subscription, that kind of thing, right? Just make sure you click that, whether you're watching on Apple or Spotify. Again, you'll hear me mention that Pandora also has podcasts. I did not realize this. Again, maybe you want to forgive the 45-year-old in me, right? Old man syndrome, you're right. You know, we'll have a conversation on that as we go along. It's one that we had in the beginning of the podcast, talking about older people, because we have to understand the importance of the elder, right? But two things. One, in speaking on the Berlin Conference and the United States' involvement in that conference in the late 1800s, we just didn't go all the way through with the thought like I normally do. So the idea is, just because you see, again, the illustration that I go to mention that I skirted right over, is just because you see Susan getting beat on by Robert, right, does not mean that because that's happening, you either just pass on by. Again, we're just saying what it is, right? We're talking out open in the street. And many of us, we watch and see, when you talk about some old school dynamic that used to go on in life, that was one where there was you just didn't have men while it was going on, and ladies, we you know, shout out again. There's comments that now we now can leave, so let's just leave them, and you know, let's be respectful with it. Let's show the planet on this podcast we can have conversations without being fools with it, right? We gonna get hype. But again, let's show them better, right? There was just an air where there's certain things you just didn't do with a woman. Let's bring that back, family, right? Let's start showing respect to the women, the children when we out in the street, and vice versa, ladies. You know, some ladies talk to these men like trash, right? You be out there shopping and stuff, and you just running down the man, right? We know each one of us can be knuckleheads from time to time, but again, it's time to start showing certain levels of grace here, okay? Again, like we said, we understand folks as fools out here, but a level of grace, okay? Not to get walked on, just, you know. So yeah, just because we see somebody beating somebody else, we ain't doing it. AEW, and I'm not going to go hard into it. Anarchy in the Arena, right? So the pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, really good. Anarchy in the Arena is really the highlight of that thing. Again, Mercedes Moné beat Jamie Hayter. That was a bunch of mess. Somebody with like 19 belts, and they're wearing them like you got literally 19 belts or whatever. 19 is an exaggeration. I believe it's 3. She just needs to, and she's, you know, nothing against Mercedes Moné. We understand our tan skin tone sisters out here, okay? Nothing against y'all. But again, we got to make room for everybody at the table, much like it's what's been done to us. Get it? So, again, you're just winning and winning, and you're winning and winning and winning. It's, you know, it would have been nice to see Jamie Hayter win that. That's not me being some superhero or caping for white women here. We're not doing that. We're just saying fairness across the board should be both ways, right? So, again, if we get annoyed at various cultures holding belts forever, then it would be the same way the other way around. Again, this is time for someone else to win, okay? So there's that part with Mercedes Moné. That match was blasé. The stretcher match was cool, whatever, with Mark Briscoe and Ricochet. Again, another tan skin tone brother is what I was trying to say. From WWE, came over to AEW. He's in a weird funk right now. It's just weird, but he won the AEW's first stretcher match, so that was cool. And then you get the real two highlights, because the one with Kyle Fletcher was, that was filler, with the Don Callis family going up against Paragon and Adam Cole. Adam Cole, baby, right? So all that kind of thing. I like Adam Cole as a wrestler, but I think he's ending he's nearing the end of his road, me personally speaking. It's definitely not how he's not going as he used to, but as that happens with older wrestlers. And then you get into, there may have been a couple other more filler matches than anything, but the two highlights of the match was the Anarchy in the Arena, which definitely was the top match of the night. What a good match that was. We got staple guns being used on wrestlers, including one going right through Swerve Strickland's tongue. Okay, so, and it was for real. The man showed it on TV. It was this wasn't no fake mess or nothing like that. Just good all around. Just good stuff. Okay, and then Hangman Adam Page and Will Ospreay put on an awesome match. Okay, so that's where we're gonna stop. We're just gonna stop real quick. Just give y'all that intro. Thank you, and we will talk to you soon. All right, and a good morning, family. How we doing out there today? Welcome to the weekend. Y'all are liking these episodes. You know, we can see it through the podcast on these welcome to the weekend things. And thank you for your support, right? So we're going to keep on rocking and rolling with it, right? Again, as we go along, different things. Not really to entertain, but to educate. Part of entertaining, right? To educate and to talk about life, family. To be able to talk about life. Today has a high deficiency. They talk about mineral deficiencies and all these other kinds of different deficiencies. We have a high deficiency, family, when it comes to how we talk to each other. We got to be way way more open to talk to each other. Let's just get right into it. Welcome in us, who are almost the 1,300 plus strong, who believe in, who love after, who have fun and enjoy, seek, hunger, and thirst for that which is a different view. Family, welcome in today. Today's topic, we're going to deal with a hydra of sorts. We'll say it that way, right? The three-headed kind of hydra from mythology. Talk. One's going to be on gun control. You have to have a conversation. I had some interesting conversation during Memorial Day weekend, which that's going to be part of the backdrop of this thing here. Another one here is going to be on AEW, their latest pay-per-view this past Sunday, which they knocked it out of the park. Okay. Some of it had some low, but we're going to talk about that, a little bit of wrestling, in which I had a chance to see the Knicks fall and fumble. And as a Bulls fan, I apologize for my New York fans, right? Where I'm from, shout out New York one time, right? Especially the city. Again, north, south, east, west, island, New York, right? We understand, right? But it does a Bulls fan's heart good to see New York not making it, okay? The spirit of Michael Jordan is alive and well. Anyway. Anyway, man, we don't, we know it hurts and it's not cool. And again, we had spoken on this podcast just as of last year, the Yankees totally poop in the bed where it came to that World Series with the Dodgers, man. And we'll see if they get better this year, right? Again, we watch sports from afar now at this point. I really haven't gotten too far into it. Same thing with like the NHL playoffs. I'm not really, the Rangers aren't in it. I'm a New York Rangers fan. We don't, we don't put too much into it, and we'll see how that goes. Because again, this is why we say, family, like, they use your fandom to get your money. There's no reason to be going to these games and doing all this stuff for the man while bills are increasing. Ain't nobody lowering your energy costs. So your energy bill is still high. They mess with your water bill. Water, while they poison it full of whatever they putting in it, right? That's still high. I was talking in conversation with somebody dealing with the idea of conservative and liberal, just to put this on the table as we begin our conversation. The last thing we're going to end off here with before I get too far is this idea of we're going to look forward to some things going forward in this podcast, some things we have to talk about from a mindset standpoint. Right. So we're going to end off on that. Hopefully that'll send you home happy. Right. We'll try not to do too much preaching. This TV show, She the People. I don't know if y'all have seen it. Right. Tyler Perry just released it, I guess, just recently. My wife actually happened to see it, pulled me aside, said, honey, we need to watch this. So I've been watching lately. And some of it's been tough for me, family, because a lot of coonery going on. Okay? There's a lot of, and we understand it from the standpoint of understanding how people operate. But Lord, that thing is hard to watch. Just foolishness going on, right? So some people we know, some people you don't know. One mother, I couldn't put a name on it, had to look it up on my phone, found out who it was. Right, the Family Matters mother is in this thing, and she's good, man. She bring it back. She give you that old mama feel, man. It's good, man. Lord, shout out to the elders one time, man. But it's just a lot of foolishness, Black folks trying to make it in the man system. And the way this thing is set up, family, it is set up for us to not make it in a system. It's made up, listen, again, this is the pro-black part of it, so for y'all who don't subscribe to this magazine, shut off and come back in a few seconds, right? Or if you want to learn something, stay on in and learn something, right? Sitting there trying to excel in a system that is meant to set you down, it's not going to work, okay? It ain't been working since the jump. Because it's not meant to work that way. We're just saying what it is. And this is why it's spreading to a lot of different cultures. Again, it is why that our Irish brothers and sisters had a big old fight and started killing a bunch of black folks, unfortunately, instead of turning on, again, massa back in the, I want to say it's the 1700s. Let's just see this here. Let's just see this here real quick. I always get this thing confused. Yeah, the New York Slave Revolt, 1712, I believe is what this is here. Let me just make sure that we are right in what we're saying here, because I think I'm wrong. Yeah, it's this is not it. This is that. That's another one. That's another family. I'm telling you, go look up a lot of these unrests in whatever, especially in whatever state you in, and you're gonna see a lot of stuff. Yeah, excluded from the draft. On the draft, 1863, there were draft riots. And in these draft riots, okay, again, this is right around the time of the Civil War. They started, again, those who had the money over these slaves, if you had enough money, you was cool. But if you wasn't, you drew the short straw, you had to go in these wars, into this war, and as a result, they got mad that they had to go and leave their family, and basically, for the most part, they was gonna die. Family, this is what this is, right? This is what confusion looks like. Okay, again, what we say about war. War is confusion. This is what confusion looks like, because you're battling over something that you shouldn't have. People are meant to live down here in peace, whether they got a dress on as a man or not, right? Whether they got dark skin tone on their body or not. You got to have that. You got to have that level of resolve, because when you don't, this is where we got all this mess we see, okay? As a result, back here in the 1860s, our Irish brothers and sisters decided to, instead of going after massa, they went after our black brothers and sisters and killed them. Right? Does that make sense? Where are we seeing that in life today? Again, we ain't talking about going and killing nobody. I reposed the question. Did the women who stood up in the Me Too movement, you can put whatever kind of bias on this you want to, we saying women standing up for their right to not be fondled, mutilated, killed by their directors, whether it's in Hollywood or whether it's their boss in their office office cubicle, or whether it be in a retail store, on the retail floor. Listen to the life giver talk to you one moment, and you'll find out a whole lot of hellish mess that we are doing to them, family. It's not cool, right? This is part of their history. When March rolls around every year, man, you talk about raising a glass to the female. Do you turn your attention to that woman and say, God, this is the woman you gave me? For our Christian brothers and sisters, is that what we do? Or do we say, Lord, forgive me, O wretched person that I am, and start looking for ways to change? Which one do we do? Because this was the spirit in which they rose up women, brave women, during the Me Too movement, to be free. You telling them how to dress, you telling them how to wear hairstyles and all this kinds of mess. They had to put shoulder pads on, family, back in the 80s. Y'all remember the style of the female office dress back in the day? Well, everybody was talking this mess. See, again, you got to make what you didn't realize, the play that we all were being slowly cooked in, right? Our family members, right? Our mothers and fathers. Come on, by the time you're 40 years old, it's time to start understanding some things, right? Thankfully, it was hard for me, but I understand now, right? So now it's less of the man working at home, and now they want all that family on the plantation, just like it used to be. So as a result, now the woman got to go to work. This wasn't because the woman wanted to work, as much as the woman didn't want to just be at home and thought her only purpose was at the house. God didn't make you like that. See, Eve didn't just have purpose only in that garden. It was for any and everything that was necessary. We look at it wrongly, family. The woman can do what the man can do. You're gonna have to soak that in your heart, mind, and spirit. So, as a result, they twisted it, because this is what massive do. They twisted the want of the woman wanting to work, and knowing that they were going to flush out, man, that you couldn't just do one job and provide for your family. And sure enough, one of the ways that this so the woman could be at the same place with a man was having these shoulder pads put in the suits. So now you look more manly, because men had a problem with women. Meanwhile, women help. Okay, you gonna have to come away we're gonna have to come away from some mess in our minds. Women are here to help. Okay, so as a result, they used it. They made sure that they put them shoulder pads in there, and now they got they got you. You got family. That's the way they say it in the hood. Okay. But a lot of that was birthed out of a woman just wanting to not just be good old Donna Reed knows best woman in the, WandaVision type, in the first couple of episodes in WandaVision, whereas in black and white, and, the two women, Agatha and Wanda sitting there gossiping about husbands and all. They wanted more than that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Now that mess is kind of just spread off into the workplace, but I digress. That gossiping thing, no matter where it is, that's right. But this is how you use things with people. Getting back into this conservative liberal thing. It's more of a hybrid than it is one or the other. So what we got out here is a lot of conservables and liberalitives. This is what we got going on out here. I hate to admit it. I hate to admit it, family, but that's what we got going on out here. Okay, we got to drop a lot of these divisions. Gun control, real quick. Let's get into topic, right? So, and I was speaking on this last time, talking about Bamber Bridge during World War II. And it was an occasion where our white brothers and sisters, just to talk about the solidarity in the military, by the way. Our white brothers and sisters, the so-called white brothers and sisters, decided to take it. I know they're going to tell the story a little bit different here, but just walk with me for a second. Some brothers was chilling in a bar in England, This is how the story goes. It's something you can look up online. Again, the Battle of Bamber, Bamber Bridge. They took the occasion because they were out of clothes or out of uniform or whatever to cause havoc, because this is normally how this goes. You got to raise up accusations and stuff, get people mad and stuff. This is how this works, right? This is how the man did it on the plantation. So again, it don't matter where on the planet. This is, you're talking about the hunted family. Anyway. So you go from there. Again, we got to be able to talk about life. If we're going to sit here and kind of like, man, be posy through it and just, oh, it's not, it's a small world after all. If we're going to do all that kind of stuff, it's not going to work, right? Because that's not all that life is. These ununiformed, dressed down soldiers, whatever, weren't supposed to be wherever. They raised them up into a fight, and as they're in the fight, they took out their guns and shoot them. They kill them. Right. So a whole lot of that was going on. It was almost like a standoff. Of course, who were the ones that got in trouble, family? Who do you think it was? It was the Negroes. The Negroes got in trouble, family. Court-martialed, so on and so forth, right? Throw the book at them. That's how that works. We had mentioned the DAP, right? We had mentioned the DAP. Again, if we're gonna make excuses for things, family, then this is what you get. You're gonna get low pay. You're gonna get low health care. You're gonna get ignored in society. This is how this works, right? The DAP comes from the Vietnam War. We may have mentioned it, but we will re-mention it, right? Again, repetition is necessary for learning. During this battle, it is a battle. Intercontinental battle. Between continental battle, I should say, between two different countries, right? So while the U.S. is trying to make sure communism don't rise and whatever. See, you know why you can laugh through a thing? Because of how horrible we do this capitalist mess over here. We fall for that okie dokie, right? And they make sure that, again, they keep you at the bottom. They've expanded slavery, family. What happened in the South now is all over, but I digress. So now, and it looks different. It looks cuter, right? You don't necessarily have a whip come out every time that you talk back against your boss for some mess that they do, but you're still getting whipped for it. It's just different. Proverbial whipping, right? So then, it comes across now where brothers is getting shot at in Vietnam. There's some you can look up. History of the DAP. Or you can type in history of the DAP, Vietnam, whatever. I'm not doing it for time's sake. The fist bumps, all it is, the handshakes, all that stuff, that's where it comes from. Are you safe? Are you okay? Now, of course, black people put style to it. Same thing with our Latin or Mexican brothers and sisters, or Taínos, right? The Borican, right? Again, Puerto Ricans, we name it. They're just the different tribes. We're not using the ones that the colonizer gave us. Come on now. And what's funny? If you really care about your people so much, you think at this point now we would have revisited that and been like, hey, you use that name, so be it. We ain't got no problem with it. But as soon as you do that, people are like, oh, why don't we say everything in old school, KJ? Like with this is the silly stuff we do. So they over there being shot at and they're okay. But we put a flair to everything. These different cultures of the world they put different flares on things, right? So that's the DAP family. Double or nothing. Can get into as far as gun control goes, just again, because you hear this, there's a lot of this talk. Again, everything quote unquote Americana. Now, when we say Americana, that's more United States, not actually Americana. Americana is our native brothers and sisters at the powwow, right? And just living life. This would be our Mexican brothers and sisters. Again, that word is broad termed, right? So Incans, Mayans, Aztecs, right? Mexicans, as they say. Okay? Their life, their food, something that should be celebrated, whether it's Cinco de Mayo, any day, right? The ones getting pushed across the border, You got a president here, a supposed president. Because again, when you look at the word president, man, we're talking about leaders and stuff, man. These folks are clowns, right? Again, when you talk about a lot of these different government officials, same thing with House Negro Michael Langley. You gonna sit there and talk about what's going on with the leaders in Burkina Faso, trying to use the gold. You know how much gold is over in Africa, family? This man gonna sit here and talk about how it's not in the United States' best interest. Well, of course, nothing that would have anything to do with the dark skin tone people coming up would have anything. You can say that it has to, he's using the gold to fleece down his people and blah, blah, blah. You know what? If you was really about it, then you would have a joint thing. And that's not what's going on, family, right? But again, they got to put you up front. That's why I said that about that FBI agent. Just because they put Katel Patesh up there, if I'm saying his name right, if I'm not, brother, my apologies, right? Because you put one of the darker skin tone folks, again, an Indian brother up there. Nation of India is what we're talking about. Is this supposed to make it look better? So all now you're doing is using your people to get rid of another group of people. Ain't how sick that is. But anyway, when you look at the history of the FBI and the CIA involved in racial things, again, family, these are things you can look online. You listen. This has got nothing to do with conjecture or conspiracy. We are showing you what people are doing. Do you think it's changed? This is how they think about you. And no matter whether you put on the suit with the shoulder pads or not, the man's still going to look at the woman as inferior, a weaker vessel. Not because the Bible said it, because people's minds are unrenewed. That's why. They didn't update, family. Just like a phone or a computer. And they use these words to hold you back. If everybody is so for guns, family, which we're not saying you shouldn't be, but it's time that those who are the gun owners start talking responsibility. Especially to these fools out here that think it's okay, whether it be in inner cities or your own rural neighborhood or suburban neighborhood, killing folks at will. We're just saying what it is. There's no more time for that mess. We wasted time with that mess. That's the only kind of conversation there should be with that. You know, if you're going to be all, we patriot and we nationalists and all this kind of mess, man, you cannot do it to the point where you miss sight of the land you live on. Okay? And when you talk about the history of the land you live on, it is sin of the highest order by which many of us are here. Say it again. It is by sin of the highest order by which many of us are here. To make amends. See, the problem is nobody really want to make amends. Just want to live in the fat. See, again, this is why our native brothers and sisters called the European the Wasichu. Because you are the stealer of the fat. So, if you don't want to be in that group, you're about change and all this other kind of stuff we say on this podcast, or that people say that we talk about on this podcast, then it's time to have a different mentality. We're going to have to start giving, family. Anyway. No, we got to take a minute on that. This comes with this bias in between people groups. To the black men and women. Since we just finished talking about the horror that you went through, and we know there's some horrors you went through, number one, we're going to have to sit down in that therapy chair. If it's got to be around knowledgeable black people who have understood life and all that kind of thing, so be it. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to get yourself around and get some healing. We can't keep looking at each other with the side eye. There's too much side. It's open heart season, family. While we got heart diggers out there, you know, we understand that Kanye West and Jamie Foxx made a good old song back in the day talking about, she take my money. I know that wasn't on key, but whatever, right? When I'm in need. We get it about the gold digger, but you know what else is out there? Heart diggers, family. These people are okay knowing how holy you look at life, wholesome you look at life, and using you to make merchandise of you because they are bought after mass. So you know how them brothers and sisters got bit by them vampires and sinners, and they turn like that. That's what you got going on, family. This is why you got people folks will literally get into gunfights talking about gun control and shooting each other, especially in these hoods, just looking at each other. What the hell is that? To say it plainly. When they talk about manufacturing the Negro, now I'm saying Negro, they use another word. These cities are definitely, Lord help us, man. These cities are the Negro making manufacturing plants in the United States. They really are, man. And then they spread. If you have not renewed your mind, or if you left it unrenewed, you just go out doing all this silly mess. We understand that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, but as we have said on this podcast, family, it's time to start finding the kinfolk. To do that, you have to have an open heart. Nobody said that you don't defend yourself. You've got to have an open heart to understand people again. If you want to create a time of peace, you're going to have to tap into that energy which creates a time of peace. So there's just some things there. We get on this Americana mess, and it's so tired. You know, some of these holidays, especially these again, Americana holidays, Lord, oof. You don't never see nobody going ham for Labor Day, because it's the worker that's got the boss put on. So see, stop the hoax. Just because you own a business, it's all well and good that you own that business and that you make money on that business. But as soon as that worker is helping you make money on your business that you own, that thing looks different, and ain't nothing to talk about. We got we need Employee Appreciation Day. Forget the employer, okay? Yo, man, we need Maybe I'm wrong. Let's look it up. Let's look it up, family. Maybe, just maybe, your boy tripping, right? Other than Labor Day, let's just see. Is there employee? And hopefully there is, right? Because again, I I'll let Snoopy play in the background a little bit. Okay, so your boys stand corrected. That's another thing talking about, because again, we don't have a problem correcting ourselves over here. See, I know there's certain places, certain podcasts, certain things you listen to. People have a problem correcting themselves. I have no problem doing that over here. Right? This is not about we're not know-it-alls. We're all learning as we go along here. Right? There's been way too much information hidden for you to actually believe you know it all. So we don't know it all. Okay. Employee Appreciation Day is actually a thing. March 6th, 2026 will be the next time that we have Employee Appreciation Day. I don't even know if I went over that back in the day. Or not back in the day, back in the day meaning in March. I don't know if I even talked about that. Let's see. It's created by a dude named Dr. Bob Nelson in 95. To recognize the employee. Again, you can't have enough of this. Then folks get mad that they don't have any employees and all these kinds of things when you don't appreciate them. You got to do more of this. Never mind. Again, remember the 10 areas of people activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor. We just finished talking about labor. Law, politics, aka government, religion, aka belief, sex, war, aka confusion, or again, continental or intercontinental battle, and health. So we just talked to you about one of them there. Labor is really out of balance, family. It is. Especially when you want to know how bad it's out of balance, start talking about how much you should get paid on the job. They got the system set up where you struggle, family. That's it. That's just how it goes. Before we get into AEW's deal here, where are we at? Because I ain't trying to take up 28 minutes. All right, we'll try to shoot for 35, 40. We want to talk about the podcast for a minute, family. We've been doing really good. I say we. See, this isn't it. Yeah, I'm the one saying and talking, but again, The talking don't do nothing when there's no interaction. The people make that thing work, right? No matter what podcast you listen to, no matter how famous the person is, it is the people that make that thing work. We've had a couple followers over the last 30 days. Thank y'all. Welcome in, right? Welcome in. For those who already listen, welcome back, right? There was one that's been on my heart lately because I hadn't seen too much interaction into it. And sure enough, it is starting to pick up, thankfully, which is in the last 30 days, the female interaction in this podcast has finally kicked in. It's a balance between two, family. We will not, let's say it again, no different than in the Garden of Eden. This thing will not work unless we work as a team. For the men, we have to stop using the women as an excuse. For the women, we have to stop using the man as an excuse. Although we understand men have done some horrible stuff here. We get that. At the end of the day, this is on our own 2 feet, and especially when you're talking in romantic relationships, it is the both of y'all on your own 2 feet working together. Time for the man, time for the woman, or vice versa. Time for the woman, time for the man, time for each other. If you introduce kids into the dynamic, then that becomes a 4-way. Over the last 30 days, women have been listening to the podcast just a little bit more than the fellas. It's been about 60% compared to 40. Now, traditionally, right, over the whole of the thing, when you look at all time, it's been male dominated. It's been 94% male to 3% female, which has just ticked up lately on the female, which is good. This is what we want to see. Same thing with the children. It is good to see the 17-year-old, the 0 to 17-year-olds, there's an uptick there. We see that, right? The 23 to 27-year-olds, we see that. We're just talking about what it is. Those in my age range, the 45s to 60-year-olds, we see that, right? We see that, okay? When you look at that breakdown, man, it's a lot more than what you think it is, right? Now, of course, it's about 82% male, 2% female. But our non-binary group is in there. Shout out to y'all family, by the way. We ain't doing that over here. There have been too many of your grandmamas and your aunties and your mamas who have come out, right? They've been married forever, and then they come out being homosexual or whatever it is. We done seen it happen too much. They make TV shows off it now. Okay? We gotta love each other. Even if you disagree, we gotta love each other. Okay. Of course, in the 60 plus age range is 100% female. So shout out to your family, right? No matter what age you in, young or old, male or female, or whether you don't identify, right? Shout out to you. Okay. And thank you for your support, man. Lately, there's been an uptick in trying to find out where the podcast is, so we got to take the time to say that. 624 impressions here from the 29th of April to May 28th. So this is pretty cool. Okay. It's pretty, again, we're just having we rarely don't have these conversations, but we're just having a conversation about it to let y'all know what's going on. Okay. Because we about taking this thing the way it needs to be. Because the words of truth, right? Discussions, town halls, these things have to happen, family. We have to talk now. What has been kept quiet too long must be spoken on in an educational, well thought out way with both legal and financial backing, because you know the man is coming for you because they don't want to talk about Bruno, because Bruno set you free. So 624 they call impressions, family, or traffic. This is just, how many times people are looking up the podcast. And over the Memorial Day weekend, that thing was super high. That's good. That's good. Okay. Understand that when we talk about Memorial Day, this is black folks made that holiday during a sick time of confusion that we called civil, aka when you say civil war. Again, the etymology of the word war is confusion. The battle part, that's simple. It means confusion. And there is much confusion in the French-Indian War. There was much confusion in the American Revolutionary War. There is much confusion in the Vietnam War. We're just talking about things that dealt with the United States. Speaking on that real quick, did you realize during the Berlin Conference that we talk about in the 1800s, the late 1800s, right? Did you know the United States was there on that conference? You know, I didn't know this until re-looking at something that I had mentioned on this podcast before. We're talking about, as we learn, we share with people. Did not find this information out on my own. This was through studying and listening to another podcast. So this is, clearly I looked at the information, just overlooked it. The United States was at that conference, family. Now, the Berlin Conference was to chop up Africa. Talking about with Michael Langley here and him getting on the leader in Burkina Faso. Right? The black man. House Negro. We know about that House Negro. Can't use the gold you can't use the gold. Using the gold over there for Burkina Faso is against U.S. interest. Of course it is. It's something you can look up online because it's trending right now. It's sick watching the Negro fight the Negro. And everybody else stand back and be like, oh, look at you fools. It's sick to watch. Just so they can keep up mess, family. That's it. So many tons of gold that's over there in that land. Just to listen. They were there to help. When you look up the transcript, because the transcript is online too. You can type it in. Transcript of the Berlin Conference. So you can educate yourself. Let you know what's going on before El Presidente or whoever starts taking things off the internet, because this is how it works. This is just a pattern. Okay? That the stuff in Africa, this is what's said in the Berlin Conference at the open of it, belongs to Europe to be divided equally. This is what it says. Who told you? You gonna use God? Allah? Jehovah? Shiva? Who you gonna use? Buddha? Who you gonna use? They ingrained that in the so-called white man, aka the European. Really? You're do it to be divided amongst yourselves equally. This is what we got going on, family. It's quite simple. Life is quite simple, that it's against the haves and the have-nots, unfortunately, and that was made that way by those who are greedy. When you're not greedy, that's not on the mind, right? When the U.S. was there, because we know the defenses that are in the mind, right? No, they weren't there saying, hey, you chopping up the Congo here, Nambia over here, Burkina Faso here, Guinea over here, this, that, and that. We're not saying that's where the U.S. had involvement, but they were there to watch over the negotiations. We are going to use this illustration again, because it's got to get in the mind and heart of people. Shout out to the young people who listen to this podcast, that it be spread more and more to them, because for some odd reason, when you get to the older folks, they are set in these sick ways from the 1800s and the early mid-1900s to believe, that got passed down through into the 80s and the 90s. So you had a lot of pushback in the 60s and 70s. They believe that the dark skin and brown skin tone folks down here are meant to serve them and never have anything like them, when everywhere that they live on this planet, before those who are lighter skin tone than them come in contact with them, they take from them. You have to ask yourself the question, family, when you look throughout history, why is that? Where is that coming from? Is it coming from a holy source or an unholy one? Which one? Because that is unholy in the highest sense. Leave people alone. And when you don't, this is what it looks like. We're just saying what it is, family. Okay? So again, this is just some stuff here. We gotta look out for. We gotta look out for each other. And again, shout out to the family here who rocks with this podcast, right? Both actual family member and family of human beings, right? Again, Ohana. Oh yes. Oh yes. As we go forward, right? Because again, we've had this conversation, and maybe we'll tie in a little bit of AEW. AEW really, the highlight of that thing, AEW Double or Nothing. And this is just for wrestling in general. Again, what we're watching in WWE is highly stale. Okay? Jey Uso clearly cannot win a match on his own. It's always got to be with some distractions and all that kind of mess. That's a bunch of trash. The man needs to be, he's got enough finishers like everybody else. He can win on his own. Okay? He was a tag team member entertaining everybody that way. He can do the same thing, not. But whatever. Okay? Clearly the crowd is behind him. He is using culture as he should. Okay? He was doing his tribal Samoan thing with his brother, Jimmy, and he's doing it. It's just what it is, right? Again, as it is called throughout society that we're just saying here on this podcast, the spirit of influence. It's his energy that everybody is resonating with. Because again, that energy flows through all people. Never mind. So, he can't win. Jacob Fatu is slowly getting buried as a U.S. champion. Because again, when United States and Samoa come together, aka an island over in Polynesia, we got nothing for y'all. We got nothing for y'all. You can say it however you want to. We can do this. We can do this little dance that we do with the, WWE executives, all this. If y'all hear it, Triple H hear it, it's the McMahons, I could care less. This is just a fan of the thing we're saying what it is, okay? You don't believe it, so be it. It's their family business, right? They do with it what they want to because it's their family business. Same way you would if you had a family business, which we hope we'd be doing things fairly to folks, but I digress. So they're burying him, whether they bringing in this Jeff Cobb dude or whatever they calling him, JC, whatever his name, right? And Solo Sikoa, who's hopping off dude's back. It's a whole lot of mess, right? Just take the titles off him at this point. Can you just have him lose? We don't have to draw it out anymore. Just have him lose because it's looking silly. Okay, Jay don't need Sammy and CM Punk saving the day with him all the time. I digress, right? So there's just certain things. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at the women's title, the women's intercontinental title. That's kind of cool. Lyra and Becky. That's cool to see as this thing evolves. Of course, we know at some point Lyra's going to take the L, so that again the popular star can keep doing it. See, this is why you need other promotions. Speaking of which, AEW, right? Yeah, man. Yo, that, if whoever did watch that pay-per-view, if you didn't, I'm not going to say it's one match is worth $50, but go look at some of the highlights online. I've posted a bunch on the A Different View webpage, which is called A Different View. Looking Forward, that's on Facebook, right? We're building slow. We'll have it in different places, all that kind of thing. We just saw that you could share the podcast to Pandora. So those who have Pandora that they listen to their music and such through, look forward to that. Our podcast here, A Different View, showing up there. There is what was I going to say? Where you can find the podcast. So Apple Podcast at A Different View. The artist name's KJ. Right. Same thing on Spotify. Shout out to Spotify for podcasters. I haven't done that in a while. Shout out to Spotify for podcasters for allowing and putting on a platform where your boy can speak the truth of life and godliness and everyday events by which we can grow together as we see a different view, right? Thank y'all for putting on that, allowing me to put on that platform. There's also YouTube. It's literally the @ symbol, A Different View 80. And we have seen some uptick there as well as people go to see it there on YouTube. It's not actual videos that I put up, it's just the audio. But again, as we go along, hopefully you see this good old handsome face. Or maybe a video kind of thing put together, all that type of thing, right? Spotify has now modified its comment section where folks can reply to the comments that are said. Right? You can leave comments and reply, kind of like TikTok, where I can get involved. I could reply if I want to. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't. More than, it'll be anything more than like a thank you and all that kind of thing. Sometimes I use these comments to spur on thoughts for other topics. That's just cool. It's just, again, interaction between both groups of people. That's what it's all about, right? To get certain, again, we can use it as a virtual town hall. Then again, do not skip on going, again, take you and your friends, get a good Starbucks drink, whatever it is, right? And chill out, listen to the BS these people are going to say. And then you make sure that you're studied up beforehand. Again, we take a lot of time to, right, go finding that side piece. Or whatever it is, or your bookie for the next betting thing you're going to do, or wherever you're going to get your next good drink or bar. And we take a lot of time to research a lot of stuff. Research the world you live in, right? And be ready when you go to these town halls to keep these people, listen, saying what it is, okay? This ain't about getting involved in government like this TV show, She the People. We ain't about getting involved with massa. We about making sure that they provide for us a place where we can be. And for those who talk that mess about the black seed, as is said, or the darker skin tone people, as we say on this podcast, who need to go back to their country, since you believe everybody came from Africa. The last time that happened, they lived in Liberia. Won't the U.S. government, since Michael Langley want to talk this mess about Burkina Faso, why don't you go talk over in Liberia, where in the 1800s freed black folks from the mess that Massa was doing to them, all said, we leaving, since we from Africa, and went over to Liberia, chained their own money together, as well as the U.S. government paying for them to be over there. Again, this is another thing you can look up online. Stop believing these jokes. Again, people sit in the seat of the scornful. Stop believing these jokes about looking stuff up on Google and look it up. They're putting it there for you. We are failing an open book test, family. Never mind. In closing, Galatians chapter 6. We're going to read you these verses here, these first 9 verses, and we're going to go on about our day, because the last one's the home run hitter. This is where it's at, family. In the King James Version, we like going back to the scene of the crime. This is where everybody uses this thing to enslave people, whether you in the home as a woman or, coming over on a boat as a Negro, right? Or, since we like to make fun of our sea-bound Latin brothers and sisters like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, so on and so forth. We call them wetbacks, all that sick mess. Never mind the European that was in a boat coming over here. They ain't wetbacks. The wetback is just the one that's in the single boat. Never mind, right? Right. No, shout out to humanity. This divisional mess is trash. Galatians 6:1, brethren, if a person, we know he says, man, if a person be overtaken in the fault, you which are spiritual. You want to tap into spiritual things to be able to do what this verse tells you. Restore such a one in the spirit of meekness. Put yourself in their place. That's what the word meekness means. It deals with submission. And submission, just like, in your bedroom, when you got that good collar on and all that kind of stuff, the stuff that we raise our eyebrow like The Rock to, right? When you're talking on the word submission, you have to put yourself in a place where someone else can judge rightly over you. Right? What are they going to do right by you? This is why with people who get weirded out by that thing, again, this is how it works. Whether it's in relationship, the man is submissive to the... Never mind. We're going to leave that alone. I ain't going to touch that verse. We ain't going to touch that verse. You got to submit yourself. Okay? This is what meekness is dealing with. Put yourself in a certain place. Considering thyself, lest thou be tempted. There you go. Okay? Verse 2, bear ye one another's burdens. We ain't there yet. Right? Don't bother me. Shoe fly don't bother me. That's where we at. So fulfill the law of Christ. And we had 48 minutes. My apologies, but this had to be talked about, okay? It's been a minute since I talked to y'all, so here we are, right? Let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. So we got to stand on our own 2 feet, just the same as we bear each other's burdens. It's a balance of the two, okay? For every man shall bear his own burden. That's verse 5. Verse 6, let him that is taught in the word communicate unto them that teacheth in all good things. Again, birds of a feather flocking together. You're speaking back and forth to each other. We got to talk, family. Never mind. We are starving each other. This whole thing with the word, and we had spoken on it, I think, last time or last couple episodes. You know, if you love me, feed the sheep, feed the lambs. That was the last thing Christ said to Peter before he died, right? You really care about things, feed, nourish. The etymology of the word feed has the word nourish in it. Nourish each other. You look up what the word nourish means. We got to give sustenance to each other, family. And it's more in just pasta and sausage. Okay, or whatever you like to eat. Steak and potatoes, huh? Texas toast with whatever it is, family, right? That good barbecue is that time of year, right? Nourish each other. These things proverbially give each other that good barbecue. Hey, yeah. Right? We're just saying because we are starving ourselves. Do you know what starved people look like? Again, since we're talking about Africa, since they like to put up those commercials there, like that's the only thing going on in Africa. Then again, when you've got people saying that they can't use the gold to be able to help themselves over there, and that it's some nefarious purpose, and this is normally what comes up all the time over there. Because nobody wants to live equally. Never mind. Never mind. We can keep making excuses because it has a certain result. Verse 7, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a person sows. Yeah, hey. Ha. That's another thing they were doing in See the People. They make fun of the black preacher. Because we doing a lot of running around and we're doing a lot of that with no substance. I'm not saying these things are not necessary. We're not saying that people's lives haven't been changed. We ain't saying it's not a place where grown men can go and cry. We're not saying that that's necessary. Are you kidding me? You ever remember the song Being a Little Teapot? Short and stout? Right? When I get all steamed up, hear me shout, right? This is the beat of the thing that was to Jeopardy. Boop, boo doo, boop, 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 boop. Right? This is what we heard. Men and women, humans, kids too, man. They're like these teapots, man. They're boiling up inside. There's got to be a place where you can go to let that mess out, family. The comforter live in you. And you can't talk to people. This extroverted, introverted thing's a little bit out of balance. For me included. Which we practice being an open ear to people, man. Because people got to talk about what's going on. Never mind. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatever a person sows, they will also reap. And we are reaping, family, the mess we have sown. All that mess from listen, you can talk that about history all you want to. All this mess from the 16, 17, 1800s, 1200s, 13, 1400s, 1500s, so on and so forth. We're reaping it, family. It's time to start sowing some good crops. For he that soweth to the flesh. Now we won't, I'm not gonna go hard with this because we're way over. He that soweth to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. We will do this to stop here 1 second just to say this. What's the word corruption? They're going hard here. We want. We'll take Merriam-Webster's. It's funny when you type in, when you just corruption, it starts leading you to news articles that are happening right now today of corruption. Anyway, dishonest or illegal behavior. let's say dishonest, because the illegal part, you play with legal. Masses played with what is legal and not legal, because there is a law of nature that's why the phrase is said like that, that's already here on this planet. They put extra laws on top of that. So, illegal can get a little funky when you talk with folks, right? But dishonest, those treaties were dishonest. These different laws that they make for men and women, and what a man and woman cannot do and where you can't go. There's a lot of levels of dishonesty there. So we're going to say dishonest behavior. This comes from Merriam-Webster, right? Especially by powerful people. Government officials, police officers. They got the other word depravity there. We're going to leave that alone. We'll talk about it next time. We're already over. Inducement to wrong by improper. Again, they got unlawful there. By improper means, like bribery. Okay? Put it back in this phrase. They shall reap dishonest behavior, especially by powerful people. Inducement to wrong by improper means. That's what happens when you sow to fleshly things. Again, we're talking about where you're out of balance. So don't get on your high horse. But he that soweth to the Spirit, things of light, the opposite. Again, we're not even saying that the things in the flesh aren't useful. We're talking about where it's only a thing that leads to impropriety, dishonesty. He that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. We keep putting this like it's a only in the world to come. Life everlasting starts here first and leads into that which is to come. Oh yes. Finally, the good one that we're going to continue on as we go in, because we're coming up on year 3, man. And this is where it's going to be, because again, this is very apropos. Tap your neighbor, say tap your neighbor. One time say neighbor. Let us not, be weary in well doing, for we shall reap. Man, I get happy on this just thinking about it, man, because it's the real. For in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. Family, that's where we're going to stop, because we have gone on way too long, right? Thank you for walking this road with me today. And as always, and until next time, stay woke, be not weary, and look to find the beauty in a different view.